Today we'll be taking this blank wall and turning it into a brick wall, so stick around. Hey there guys, today we'll be doing another page from Romantic Country's third tale. It's this harbor scene where our young heroine arrives in Kokot and is met by her little ducky friend. Today's tutorial will be continuing on our blank slate theme from last week, where we take a flat, blank area of our page and we add in a texture all our own. So I thought it'd be fun to take this building in the background up here and do a brick treatment on it. Right off the bat, we'll just need a regular pencil and a ruler. And using really light strokes, we'll make a brick pattern on the facade here. And it's just going to be a guideline, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to start with our horizontals about 1/2 inch apart. Remember to use light pressure, as these pencil lines will just be our guideline. Plus, they're going to be erased later anyway, and I'll expand upon that in just a little bit. Now we'll do our vertical lines, and remember this is a brick pattern, so only make a vertical line every other horizontal. Line, then skip, line, then skip. I used about 1/2 inch for this measurement too. Oh, and don't forget to make the lines in these gumdrop shapes down at the bottom here, since this is a railing and we'd be able to see the brick through it. So very important not to forget these little areas down here. Okay, so we have our rough guidelines in place. So this doesn't look very much like brick yet. So the very next step is that we'll take either a fine-tipped Sharpie or a Faber-Castell Pitt pen, whatever you have that has a fine tip that will mimic the lines that the artist has already given us. So just make sure that it's not thicker or thinner than the coloring lines that are already here. And what we'll do with this is make our brick shape. There's no perfectly straight lines in this whole coloring book, so we'll want to mimic the whimsical style that's already in this book, as well as mimic real-life irregular bricks. So the first thing to remember is that bricks have mortar in between them. So if we just had followed our rough guidelines where our pencil lines are, then there wouldn't be anywhere left for the mortar. So we will have to create it using our Sharpie. So now I'm going to go in and using each rectangular brick as our guideline, we'll create a rough rectangle within the boundaries of that pencil line, just kissing the pencil lines like so. And we'll continue this pattern and you'll start to see the bricks emerge, making sure as you go to embrace those wobbly lines. Wobbly lines are your friend in this instance. See, doesn't that look like brick already? You'll also see that the brick size that I used was consistent with the bricks around our windows here, so the new ones will blend right in. Now because our Sharpie won't be affected by it, now you can use your pencil eraser to erase the pencil lines left in the space that will now be our mortar. On to the fun part, the coloring. Now I've pulled a bunch of colors that I may want to use using my Prismacolor color chart as my guide, and I want this wall to have a traditional reddish-orange sort of color scheme, so these should fit the bill. I may not use all of them, but we'll see how it goes. Starting with our mortar color, I'm using 10% French gray, just filling in all those little nooks and crannies. On our bricks, I'm starting with this seashell pink first to get some of my lighter tones down. I'm just choosing bricks at random, really, making small areas of highlight and really feathering the edges so that when I put my other colors down, this will blend nicely. So really try not to have any rough, harsh lines. Time for mineral orange, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. First going around the areas of my seashell pink to transition them, but also on some new bricks too. Now a darker orange, this cadmium orange with the same technique. There will be a lot of colors and layerings with this process, so it will take you a while. So just stick with it and be patient. It'll all be worth it when it's done. While we do that, I'll tell you a funny story about why I've got bandages on my palms and my fingers. Sorry about that, by the way. So this past weekend, the weather was wonderful here in Chicago. So we've been doing a lot of walking while my girls ride around on their little scooters. Adorable, right? So the next day, we go to take our walk, and I think, I can totally scooter. I'm athletic, I've got this. So I jump on it and ride gracefully down the driveway, only to come into violent contact with the lip of the sidewalk that sits about 2 inches above the plane of my driveway. My wheel hits it, my scooter stops dead, but inertia launches me Superman style over the handlebars and onto the rough driveway apron, scraping my palms and my fingers in the process. My family comes racing after me to make sure I'm okay, and I'm dying laughing, like literally cannot stop laughing. And if you ask Tony now how it went down, he recreates it with me swimming through the air in slow motion. So, yeah, that was my first and last experience on a scooter. Mad props to all you scooterers out there. All right, going in now with my beige sienna, which is a great brownish beige transition color. It's part of the 150 set that I recently acquired, which gave me about 40 more colors than I had before, so I'm loving these new ones. Now onto our dark areas and shadows with our dark umber. First, I'm going to actually go around our windows here with a thin feathered line, which will give these window bricks the illusion that they're sitting out farther from the face of our building. I'll also shadow underneath these flower boxes. This step here with our dark umber will be tedious, but so worth it. So you're going to take that dark umber and you're going to create a super thin line around the edges of each of your individual bricks. Now, maybe not around all four sides, but enough to give it some dimension. And I'll do these bottom ones first underneath the railing so that you can see the difference with and without this layer. I think it made a huge difference, so I'm going to go through and do all of them. All right, blender time. Now I won't use this a lot on the bricks, but just in certain areas where I feel that it would benefit. And I'm gonna use a circular motion to disguise some of the areas where maybe I had some pencil marks that I wanna feather out. All right, we're done. Here's our completed brick facade. I think it came out great, and just to remind you of what it looked like before, here's the page with the blank slate, begging to have something fun done with it. And here's our completed brick wall. This technique looks fantastic and is totally achievable for a beginner if you just break it down step by step like I did. Using tricks like this will elevate your coloring to a whole nother level. Since this technique was time consuming, we'll leave it here for now, but here's how this page turns out in the end. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave the rest of this page for someday. We're going to get right back into it with our next video, and we'll pick it back up on that great stacked stone wall. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a big thumbs up by hitting that like button, and please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, leave me a comment telling me what kind of wall treatment you would have given this building besides brick. I'm sure there's a ton that I didn't even think of. And before we go, let's see what you guys have been up to by checking out this week's featured work. If you'd like to submit your work to be featured here, you can do so in one of two ways, either by posting on Instagram using the hashtag PencilStash, or in our PencilStash adult coloring group on Facebook. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.